So actually, as close as we can come is 10, 11 years ago.
Before babies, before children.
Yeah, I think you were a newlywed at that point. Is that close to your anniversary? Or
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we just hit 14 years. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh
well,
my gosh.
To be honest with you, Ashley still has the same attitude, energy, but I think she's probably grown in wisdom, understanding, and insight in those last 10 years. But our first meeting with Ashley truly led to one that has that integrated approach she's going to introduce to us today. And that's not only movement, but the importance in what we eat and consume. Therefore, your pre-homework assignment was to bring a can with a label on it. So if you don't have a can with a label, be sure to do that, get that. So we have 2 cans here, Ashley. But, and I always say that Ashley saved Eileen's life. And she truly did, because it truly began the change as far as movement and watching what we eat. What do you have to add to that?
Everything I agree with. Yes, changed my life. Changed my life. Yeah, for the better.
So that's our intro to Ashley, our early meeting with her. So Ashley, it's yours.
All right. Well, thank you. But to be totally honest, Eileen, did not have that many bad things in your cupboard. So to be fair to yourself.
As we were standing in the Costco line today, we were discussing, the typical things that people have in their, the canned goods for emergency, things.
Yeah.
And then, for the grandkids, the junk food, the crackers, things like that, cookies. So yeah, it was the typical. But again, it's changed in the way of the flours and the sugars and things like that have definitely changed over time. Some fruits.
I'm glad you didn't throw me under the bus. Did you see that she blamed the grandkids for the junk food and cookies? I'm the biggest culprit.
So bad. Still every night. Every night.
That's hilarious. No.
For the holiday, I had bought graham crackers, and I'm thinking, oh, s'mores. We didn't do any s'mores, but the graham crackers are still in the cupboard. So every night he's in there.
Oh.
You're not supposed to tell.
Now I'm throwing you under the bus.
Tell those things.
If they're candy, maybe you should go get them as a label to read. Yeah. Just saying.
Let me just.
Oh, I threw the box away. Actually, I threw the label.
Are you serious?
Yes, I did.
Gosh.
Yeah, I didn't want to do that to myself. I have guilt enough, and now to have guilt on top of guilt, it's not good.
Okay, well, we won't throw you under the bus anymore. Hopefully, the labels, we'll be going over it in just a little bit. We're gonna actually do what to look for when you're at the grocery store and you're buying certain items, like what to look for. So that's more on the healthy side. I obviously the more plant-based whole food you can get, the better off you're going to be. So hopefully what you're buying doesn't have a label. Maybe a UPC that they have to scan, but hopefully what you're buying doesn't have a label. Is that realistic? No, you can't. I mean, I guess maybe, yeah, if you have lots of time on your hands to bake your own bread and to eat, I know that we're mostly vegan, but some people are very much not. And so if you didn't have the time to prep, for example, make your own pasta from scratch, that kind of stuff, this is going to help you in what to look for, but we'll get to that in just a little bit. So what I do want to start off with is, one, thank you for having me once again. It's a pleasure, and especially see this solid core group right here. Number 2, and many of you probably already know this, going through the CHIP program, Dr. Deal, Dr. Dysingers, which highly recommend those programs. My husband used to teach the CHIP program, so that's how I know a lot of what that gave me a good start into nutrition. I do need to put out there a caveat, or a disclaimer rather. As a personal trainer, legally, I cannot prescribe diet plan or nutrition plans. I can't, those are reserved for registered dietitians. I can make recommendations. I can give guidance, but legally I cannot write you, like, say, okay, so this is your blood type, this is what you have. I can't do that. So I know Karen had mentioned that earlier. So that's what I'm just saying. Uh-oh, something happened here. There we are. I can't. So yeah, what I'm going to be telling you today is general in nature, and it's very hopefully helpful, and hopefully just reiterates what you may already know. So what I want to start off with, and many of you already know, is it's always good to eat for your nutrition, not taste buds. I'll say that again. We're going to eat for nutrition, not for taste buds. And which is extremely hard as Americans. Maybe all over the world, but I know I deal with a lot of Americans. And it's hard because there's so many tasty things out there, especially sodium, and there's sugar, and there's fat in almost every packaged food you see out there. And so it's a big challenge. So if you can think about, I need to eat to fuel my body for what it needs, and not just my mood, my feelings, my cravings, but actually be consciously aware of what you're eating, you're going to be leaps and bounds ahead of the rest of the population out there. So eat for nutrition, not for your taste buds. Next, most of you are already doing this, if not all of you. Please, what I recommend to all of my clients across the board is eat plant-based as much as you can. Why? Because vegetables and fruit are jam-packed full of antioxidants, which help fight cancer, like they fight the free radicals in your body. They give you so much more energy than the packaged food, or even the meat and dairy. So you're going to have higher energy stores. You're going to be able to burn fat faster. You're going your gut health, which is huge. I don't know how many of you know much about your microbiome or have studied much about the microbiome. Okay, good. Karen has. Great, great. So the microbiome is like extremely important for fighting off illnesses, for regulating what's happening through the rest of your body. Because most people think that the nutrition, like as you eat, your stomach is the one that breaks the food down, and that's where the nutrients from the food go into the blood. But not true. So the microbiome, it actually starts happening when it gets to the large and small intestine. And that's where your microbiome is in the large and small intestine. So the more clean you can eat, the more plant-based you can eat, the more it can keep your microbiome clean. Well, let me say this, your small and large intestine clean. Microbiome will adjust to whatever food you're eating. So if you're eating a lot of meat, and then you try to go to plant-based, many of you may have experienced really gassy. Like you're like, I feel really bloated, and now I have this horrible gas. And I didn't have it when I was eating meat, and now I'm eating beans. It's because your microbiome is changing. And so the little, they're like little organisms that help regulate what's going on in your body. And so that's why you want to stick, once you change your diet and you cut out a lot of the processed food, sugars, bad fats, meat, dairy, you don't really want to go back to it, because then your microbiome will have to change again, and it's more in attack mode rather than heal mode. So plants are very healing. God made plants for our body. He made the fruits and the vegetables to heal our body. That's how our immune system can be most vibrant, is when you're fueling it with God made foods. So and it all happens there in the microbiome. So here's what happens though. If you eat a lot of meat, then meat doesn't digest as quickly. It doesn't break down as quickly. It takes much longer for those organisms to break it down. And so it just sits in your intestine. And so the nutrients from the food that you do eat, the good nutrients, like from the kale and the fruits and the vegetables, they are not able to penetrate through the meat that's sitting in your gut and get past the intestinal wall to get the nutrients into the cells. So meat is like, if I'm not saying don't eat meat. If you want to eat meat, just limit it to like once a week or once a month would be even better. That's up to you. But I'm not here to be your conscience. You know what you want, you know what you need. Just trust your body. If you want to go talk to a registered dietitian, find somebody who's more holistic minded rather than Western medicine trained. That's all I'm going to say about that. But if you're eating meat, if those nutrients can't penetrate through the intestinal wall to get into the cells to be distributed to where for the body to heal. So that's why it's so important to eat mostly plant-based. That's why it's so important. So with that, are there any questions about that portion of it? And does it make sense?
Mhm.
Yeah. Great. What I wanted to talk about specifically with integrating nutrition and exercise. So with our bodies, they're a miraculous machine that needs to be fueled properly. So if you are needing or you like to do high intensity workouts, HIIT workouts, or you're doing like CrossFit type workouts, which I know most of you are, then yes, that's right. Then you're going to need to fuel differently before your workout than you would if you're just going on a walk or you're doing some yoga, well, light yoga. I wouldn't say the hot yoga. You need something a little bit more, but your nutrition is just going to depend on what you're doing in your lifestyle. So if you are not highly active, like running miles, or you're not cycling miles, you're not lifting heavy weights, your nutrition is going to be you'll need a little bit less. And especially as we get older, you don't need as much as well. So if you're doing light exercise, then you wouldn't necessarily need to eat like drink a protein shake or something before you go work out, because maybe a banana is all you need, or you may not even need anything. But if you're going to be going and doing like hitting the weights hard, doing a hard run, you're going to need some fuel to even get started to help you sustain you through that workout. So that's just a basic right there. I could go into much more detail about it, but that's just basic. Be aware, like this is my lifestyle. So if and there's so much out there. Like what used to be you need to eat 6 meals a day is now you need to do intermittent fasting, or you need to be vegan, or you need to be paleo, or you need to be fill in the blank. What I've learned with working with my clients over 12 years is that it really depends on you and your body and what you need. So figure it out. But if you are like, I don't know if this vegan thing is for me, or I feel like I need a little bit more, then try Whole30. Try intermittent fasting and give it 2 weeks, 3 weeks, ideally 6 weeks, just to see how your body responds. I've learned that everybody, like I have some clients who tried to go vegan and they couldn't because their blood sugars would take too much. I'm not a doctor. I didn't know why. I'm like, okay, we'll try Whole30. And just by incorporating a little bit of like yogurt into their meal and fish once a week, it was enough for them. And they were able to sustain it. So I don't know where each of you are, but I do know that it's possible to, whatever your goals are, lose weight, just maintain weight, to bulk, whatever it is. I know that there's a way to do it healthy, mostly plant-based, if not 100% plant-based. So I'm not trying to be ambiguous, but it really just depends on you and where you are. So I can tell you a few things that I highly recommend incorporating into your daily life every single day. And it will help you in the long run fight against certain diseases. It'll give your body more power to be healthier for longer. Some of those things are ginger and turmeric. So what I found, and especially after owning the Living Root Cellar, we were taking turmeric supplements and not noticing much of a difference. Once we started, because we do cold pressed turmeric root and cold pressed ginger root, and we sell little shots of the juice. And so what Sam and I would do, we would keep the pulp and we would bring it home and we would make a tea out of it. And we noticed a significant difference in our health. Like, I can tell you several different things we noticed in our health just by making a tea out of the raw root rather than a supplement that's been processed. So yes, Karen.
Can you please tell me how you made the tea? You took the actual turmeric root, put it in a cup, and then boiled water, and then poured it on. And how?
So yeah, I was going to get to that. So what I recommend, go to the grocery store, get some root, both turmeric and ginger. And so turmeric is much smaller than a root. So this is like a turmeric here, and then ginger, you can get pretty big or bigger. So all you need to do is slice maybe 1/4 inch or smaller, 1/8 of an inch, just cut like 4 or 5 slices of turmeric, and then double the amount of ginger. So 8 to 10 slices of ginger. You don't have to peel the skin off unless you want to. Sometimes it gets a little messy, but because it's sliced, the nutrients will boil out of it. So it doesn't have to be peeled if you don't want to. Then put that in, I would say 6 to 8 cups of water and boil it for 12 to 16 minutes, depending on how dense you want the tea, how strong you want the tea. That tea will give you enough tea to last you 3 or 4 days. Because I like it cold. I do not like hot tea. So we just put it in the fridge. Sam warms it up on the stove, and then I just drink it cold out of the fridge. But that'll give you 3 or 4 days worth of tea. You can drink it with honey. Sam likes it that way. I don't. I just like the straight up burn your throat because the ginger's so good. But those two things have really changed our health. So a couple of things that we've noticed. Sam, number one, I have way more energy. I have a thyroid challenge right now, and every time I drink the ginger turmeric tea, my energy level is super great. Skin is better, and bowel movements are better. So I know we already eat plant-based. I don't know why, but for some reason that just works. Sam has noticed, and he's actually been putting a little bit of allspice in his tea as well, just a little dash of allspice, which actually tastes really good too. But he grew up he spent 5 years in Colombia while his parents were missionaries. And over there, he got a fungus in his toenails. And he hasn't been able to get rid of it. He's tried everything, but he started drinking this tea and it went away. No joke. So go ginger and turmeric, right? So if that's what it does to toenails, can you imagine what other healing properties are going on inside your body that you can't see? So that's number one. Highly recommend doing at least 8 ounces, 16 ounces a day would be great. And if it's too strong, just add some more water to your water pitcher till it's to a consistency that you like, that you can handle in terms of the taste. So that's the one thing. As the other thing two more things that I highly recommend is taking some sort of adaptogen. And what adaptogens are is they help reduce inflammation in the body. They help counteract the effects of stress in the body. And it's things like ashwagandha and astragalus, turkey tail, maca, a lot of the things that you would find at Clark's or another health store. I don't have, I would, but I found a protein powder that has all of that and it tastes good. So if you want the protein powder, and I do that before a workout just because I do lift heavy weights, but it's called, oh shoot, what is it? I just have Sigmatic, Sigmatic, and it has a ton of adaptogens in there. And it also helps, the adaptogens also help if you're taking other things like zinc or glutathione, any of those other things to help with mental clarity or energy. It will actually help synergize them in your body so that your body accepts them and uses them more easily. So that's why adaptogens are extremely important.
You spell it again?
It's fairly new. The protein powder?
Yeah.
Sigmatic, for Sigmatic, FOURSIGMATIC. So, and they have, if you're close to a Clark's, they have little packets that you can try. And the nice thing about that brand is that it doesn't have stevia, which can be cause more issues to your body than like sugar. So even though stevia is a natural sweetener, the studies that are coming out saying it's not that great for you. So it's sweetened with maca. I'm sorry, not maca, but monk fruit. So it's a much more natural sweetener that's low calorie, that won't affect you as bad as some of the other sweeteners that are out there. And it's very low on the totem pole in terms of sweetness, plus you get your protein. So that's been my lifesaver right there. But adaptogens, you can find them, and it's not just a protein powder. You can go and get adaptogens in a capsule form out of a bottle too. So it doesn't have to be via protein. But highly recommend that, especially as we get older, just helping your body a little bit more.
You spell adaptogens?
Yeah, adapt. So ADA, adapt, PT, AGINS. And you can do some research on that. But these are things that will help your muscles recover more quickly. You'll just feel better. So I know you might have been looking for, like, you need to eat this many grams of protein and this much carbs every day. If you're eating plant-based and you're eating whole foods, calories don't matter. So that's why I'm not even talking about it, because the amount of calories in an apple versus the amount of calories, you'd have to eat 12 apples in order to consume the same amount of a Big Mac. You're not going to eat 12 apples. So you don't have to worry about calories. Like, one apple will fill you up. So that's why I'm not talking about a lot of calorie intake and that kind of stuff. Sorry to disappoint you if that's what you were hoping for. The other thing that I highly recommend that I've added to my repertoire that I've noticed the difference is lemon juice and Himalayan sea salt, not Himalayan, Celtic sea salt this morning. So the very first thing when I get up, I'll drink a cup of half a lemon with some Celtic sea salt. It can't be Himalayan, it can't be the iodized, it has to be the Celtic. And the reason why is there's a lot more minerals, specific minerals that have been processed out of our food that our body needs. So, and lemon actually helps detoxify and support like a liver cleanse and a kidney cleanse. So it helps get your liver cleaner and ready for the day and the food that you're eating. So lemon juice, so lemon, squeeze half a lemon, and Celtic sea salt is about 8 ounces of water. First thing when you wake up, give it about half hour. If you're on medication that requires you to do like not have any food, take a medication when you first wake up and not have any food, then that's okay. Take your medication first and then do the lemon. Or you could actually do it at night before you go to bed. It really, they say first thing in the morning just because you haven't had anything, but lemon is good for you no matter what part of the day. So if it's medication, please follow your doctor's orders first. not Ashley's, because I'm not a doctor. Okay. Any questions? Yes, Karen.
Can the lemon be the lemon juice you get organic in a bottle?
You can do that if you want. I just get organic lemon, squeeze it. But if you want to do the bottle, that's fine.
I know it does have, I think, citric acid in it. Is that any good for you?
It's okay. Yeah, it's just like that's vitamin C.
Okay.
Yeah.
How much lemon juice?
Oh yeah. Well,
The juice
what's a
of
half
one
a
lemon?
About a half. Yeah, I cut a lemon in half and I juice it, so it ends up probably being about a tablespoon.
Oh,
I'd
okay.
say. Yeah, maybe a tablespoon and a half, depending on the size of the lemon. Yeah. You can't really overdo it, I don't think, because it's vitamin C. You can never take too much vitamin C. It's impossible to overdose on vitamin C. So, yes, I mean,
And Art's mom's lemon bush was really full. I took a bunch of lemons, squeezed them, and then I put the lemon juice in ice cube trays. So
yes,
in the morning, I just go grab one of those little cubes, put it in my hot water. So now I need to just add the salt stuff. So yeah,
perfect. Yes.
so easy because then I don't have to be preparing and cutting the lemon in the morning. Just grab one of those little cubes of lemon juice and I'm good to go. Time
What a
saving.
great idea.
And
Thank
how
you.
much
Thank
of
you
the
for-
how much of the sea salt, Ashley?
Oh yeah, sorry about that. It's a quarter teaspoon of the Celtic sea salt. Yep, is all you need. So it actually, if you get the Meyer lemons, oh man, watch out, it's so good. Oh, I was drinking that like, oh, I was drinking a lot. It was so good. Good questions, guys. Good questions. So highly recommend those things. And then obviously, because I know many of you have already gone plant-based, whole food, I just want to make sure that you guys are taking a B12 supplement and some sort of iodine. So if you're not, please find some source of B12, maybe in a daily vitamin. But vegans, because we've been vegan probably 10 years, 5 years. So I went to the doctor and she's like, your iodine levels are so low. I'm like, oh, why? She's like, well, do you eat anything that has animal products? I'm like, no. Why would I do that? She's like, well, that's why your iodine's so low. I'm like, oh. So I've just been doing some iodine droplets in water and it's fine. So anyways, I just wanted to throw that out there. After being vegan for a while, these are things that you need to be aware of if they haven't already told you. Okay, one more thing before we go to the food label reading. Has anybody heard of or is aware of the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15? Okay, Karen. Yeah. Okay, good. So I'm going to do a quick screen share here. But there's a group, a nonprofit group. It's called the Environmental Working Group. And what they do is they take samples of all the produce that's grown and vegetables, and they test it for the amount of herbicides, pesticides, insecticides that are in and on the fruit, vegetables. And so they've compiled a list of what, if you can't buy the things you have to buy organic to limit the amount of cancer-causing agents that you're eating, and those that you're like, no, it's okay, you don't have to buy organic if you're on a budget. If you want to buy organic, great. But if you're on a budget or you can't find it, it's okay to eat these, the Clean 15. So I'm going to share my screen here really quickly and show you their website. And so this is the Environmental Working Group's website. I'm going to go up here to Consumer Guides, and they have these amazing little printouts that you can take to the grocery store if you needed to. But we're going to click on the Dirty Dozen, and it will show you strawberries. So if they're organic, you're okay. These are the ones that you should definitely buy organic if you can. Strawberries, spinach, kale, apples, nectarines, grapes, cherries, peaches, pears, bell peppers, hot peppers, celery, and tomatoes. So those are the ones. And you can pull up this website on your own and make your list if you want, or they have these really cool printouts. They have the app that you can scan barcodes, see how much cancer causing agents are in them, makeup. Like it's an extremely amazing website. So in fact, ewg.org. It also has the, yes, Karen.
What about, in Costco, sometimes they say they have hothouse red bell peppers and yellow and, in that bag. Is that safe to have hothouse?
It's safer. Yeah, way safer than what's grown in the field for sure. For sure. I haven't done a ton of research in terms of the chemical content in hothouse versus the chemical content or versus organic, but I get the ones from Costco that are hothouse. So just because it's hard to find organic bell peppers when you're out shopping unless you go to like 10 different stores.
And they're expensive.
Yeah. So there's much less chemicals in the hothouse than just the regular field, conventional field.
And they come
farming.
from Canada sometimes, and I trust Canada. I believe I trust them.
Right, a little bit more than other countries south of us. Yes.
I love Canadians. I think they're wonderful.
Yes. So the Clean 15, a couple of the things that are on there I know are like squash, zucchini, oranges, lemon. So most of those you don't eat the peel anyway. Well, like the oranges and the lemons, you don't eat the peels anyway. So that's why they're on the Clean 15. So
I have one more thing to warn people of. I don't know where I read this, but they're now injecting in regular oranges, which I used to buy, Valencia or something that it's not poisonous, but it's something that does something to the orange and to maybe make it a flavor or unify it or keep it growing. Some chemical is injected into oranges now. So now I'm just going to get the organic oranges because I eat one a day at least. I can't remember if you Google injection in oranges, chemicalized injections into, but I know that I read this.
It's actually on the Environmental Working Group website right now. So yeah, you can read about it there. Yeah.
So it's true. It is a true fact. Wow.
Yeah, but I mean, also the nice thing about living in Southern California is you have, I mean, here in Loma Linda, we have access to private groves where we know they're not doing that there. So that's the beauty of living here.
When I was working at High Grove Elementary School, there were orange groves right next to our school. And it was so delightful to smell them when I went to class every morning,
Yeah.
You're absolutely correct.
Yeah. It's amazing for sure. So the good thing is we don't have to worry about the oranges so much as long as you're buying from a local grower. But yeah, the Environmental Working Group's website is expansive. It's mind blowing what the information is on there. So if you really want to dig into it, see, you can. But if you're like, I don't have time, just give me the Dirty Dozen, the Clean 15, and I'm good. Then you can do that research there too and print off little shopping lists.
And there's no charge to belong to EWG?
Nope.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, good. Any other questions there? Cool. So when you go plant-based, it's you're going to be eating a lot more fruits and vegetables. So that's why I bring up the Clean 15 and the Dirty Dozen. That it's really important because I mean Monsanto has been being sued by many people for the Roundup that's in all of these foods that are causing serious cancer problems. So that's why that's so important. No, keep going. All right, here's my daughter Emmy. Okay, so the last thing I wanted to go over quickly is label reading. Yeah, Costco, right? Jumbo size crackers here. So grab your label and where I'm getting this information is not from me, not claiming this amazingness at all. This is from a guy named Jeff Novick. So he has DVDs, he has books, his website is packed full of stuff. So Jeff, Jeff, and then Novick, Novick.
Actually, you went silent. Oh, no, it's not you, it's me.
Yeah, Jeff Novick. So jeffnovick.com has lots of stuff, but if you just type in, so is the DVD that I got this information off of is Eat This. I have it. I'll go get it really quickly. But you can find, if you pull up Jeff Novick, you'll see lots of YouTube clips, and there you'll also find the information of what I'm going to go through on those YouTube clips. So, but what he's developed a 4-step four rules to think about when you're out purchasing your food. So if your food does have a label, these are the 4 things that you need to look for. Okay. So the rule number 1 is don't ever, ever, ever believe any claim that's written on the package. Just don't believe it. Just don't even be like, oh, this says it's low fat, I'm gonna buy it. Okay, but the truth of it is it's low fat because you're only eating one crumb of it. If you eat a whole cookie, then of course it's not low fat anymore. But if they only measure 1 crumb, of course it's low fat. So just don't even believe any of the claims that are on there. Like children's cereal, high in whole grain, like Cheerios is a perfect one. This is whole grains and it's good for your kid, but it's not really. It's full of, like, their Cheerios is one of the highest glycophosphate cereals out there. And what glycophosphate is Monsanto's Roundup. So you don't believe the label. That's rule number 1. Don't feed your grandkids goldfish either, because that's like one of the second highest glycophosphate foods out there. So please don't feed them. Okay. But you can find that on Environmental Working Group's website too. Okay. Rule number 2. This is where it gets fun. So grab your box, your can, whatever you have. Rule number 2 is for sodium. Sodium shouldn't be a 1-to-1 ratio with calories. So my crackers here have 140 calories per serving. That means my sodium should be no more than 140 milligrams. Does that make sense? So it's a 1-to-1 ratio, sodium and calories. So let's see, who wants to share their label? Okay, Eileen's got it.
Okay, these are organic or garbanzo beans. The calories are 120. The sodium is 130.
Oh, so it already fails. You can't buy that.
I can't buy this.
What if she rinses it?
If I rinsed it.
If you rinse it, it might be okay, but maybe, because I know they have no sodium or low sodium garbanzo beans out there.
So
The reason why, yeah, go ahead.
but it's, I'm just like going to read everything off the label. That's okay. Okay.
No, yeah. So you're like, oh, but they're just garbanzo beans, right? So the reason why he even created this 1-to-1 ratio of sodium is because the minimum, like the maximum USDA recommendation for sodium on the high end is 2,500 milligrams, and that's like a lot. What is more recommended is around the 1,200 milligrams. In some foods, like what is that? The ramen noodles, you'll have your entire day's amount of sodium in one meal. Like, you guys know that's obviously because they're so salty. But the reason why he created that, there's sodium in everything. There's a sodium in a bell pepper. So there's sodium in cucumbers. So that's why he created the rule of a 1-to-1 ratio. It's only 10 milligrams more. It's not significant. But if you were to follow the hard and fast rules, then that would not be okay. But it's only 10 milligrams. It's not hundreds of milligrams. So anybody else want to share their label?
Sure. This one, Ashley, this is organic tomato sauce. So I'm not going to believe that.
Word, yeah.
But you look at for a quarter of a cup, there's 25 calories. And the amount of sodium in that 25 or that quarter cup, 25 calories, is 290 milligrams, far exceeding the 1-to-1.
Wow. Yeah. And I also don't buy they're another reason I don't buy Costco's tomato sauce. We'll talk about on rule number 3. So there's another reason why I don't buy their tomato sauce either. Bernice, what is yours?
We have Trader Joe's organic tofu, so it's 60 calories, and the sodium is 10 milligrams.
Perfect. So it passes.
It passes.
Passes. Good.
Yay!
Awesome. Cool. Go tofu. Okay. So now that's rule number 2. So rule number 1, don't believe anything that's on the package. Rule number 2, sodium is a 1-to-1 ratio. Rule number 3, sugar should not be one of the top 3 ingredients. So you're going to look at your ingredient list, and if sugar is the first, second, or third ingredient, don't buy it because there's too much sugar. And now it can't, keep in mind that includes honey, that includes molasses, brown sugar, coconut sugar, any of the different types of forms of sugar that are out there. If it's one of the top 3 ingredients, then don't eat it, don't buy it. Anybody want to share their label?
Oh, I don't think there's going to be sugar in here.
Shouldn't be sugar in tofu.
No sugar in tofu. 0%. It's on the label.
Good. So Art, tell me what's in your tomato sauce.
Within my organic tomato sauce, it's the 3rd ingredient. Yeah, this is great stuff.
Right? I've had much more. I'm not saying that tomato sauce, like you can find low sodium ones that don't have sugar at Stater Brothers. That's really the only place I've been able to find ones without sugar in them. So, but I haven't looked at the ones to see about Trader Joe's because I rarely go to Trader Joe's anymore. It's just too much with 3 kids. So anyways, I'll just tell you my first ingredient is brown rice flour, then it's sesame seeds, then potato starch. And let's see, there's actually no sugars in this. So mine would pass too. Okay. Anybody else want to share theirs or good?
I have a can of pears. The ingredients are pears, water, sugar. And when you look at the carbohydrates, it talks about dietary fiber, 2 grams, total sugars, 13 grams, which includes 7 grams of added sugar. So carbohydrates was 6, added sugar or sugars 14%.
So yeah, here's a little tip, just so you can fully understand the amount of sugar that's in. When it says grams, what does that mean? So 4 grams of sugar equals 1 teaspoon of sugar. So 4 grams equals 1 teaspoon. So if it was 1 serving with 7 grams, you're almost having 2 teaspoons of sugar, added sugar, not the regular fruit sugars in those pears.
The other thing that's a little scary, and there's an asterisk, can lining produced without intentional addition of BPA. So it could be added, but they didn't mean to.
Right. It was an accident. Right? Yeah, see what I mean? Like, it's scary. You just have to be aware. Just being aware. So thank you for sharing that, Susan.
Say goodbye, it's going in the garbage can.
Right. Okay, number 4, and this is the last rule, number 4, is the fat from calories. So looking at your label, the fat from calories, so we're not looking at total fat, we're just looking, the total fat grams. Hold on. There should be no trans fats at all in any of the food you buy. Trans fats, I I was told years ago, I don't know how legit it is, but it seems pretty close because she was a chemist. Trans fats are 1 molecule away from being a very soft plastic. So they've been banned in a lot of our food, but the food companies have just changed it so that there's still trans fats in it, but they changed the serving size so they can put 0 trans fats. So it's still there. They just changed their label. So what you're looking for in trans fats are hydrogenated. Anything with hydrogenated, anything, just don't buy it. Okay, so that's part of rule number 4. Avoid all hydrogenated oils. The second part of rule number 4 is the total fat grams should be no more than 20% of the total calorie. So if your calories, like this is 140 calories per serving, which means my total fat grams should not exceed more than 28 grams. Does that make sense? You guys following? 140. So if your calories are 140, you'd multiply that by 20%. So 14 times 2 is 28. So you wouldn't want any more than 28 grams of fat. These have 5 grams, so these pass. Okay. Does anybody else want to share theirs? Like, I'm sure tofu's fine because there's no fat in tofu.
It's showing 3 grams.
Oh, okay. By how many calories?
60.
So 60 times, so it passes.
Yes.
It passes. Go tofu. Yeah.
Can you have tofu every day, Ashley?
Yeah, it says yes.
According to your opinion?
So tofu, okay. Because you'll see so much online about soy being so bad for you, especially women and estrogen levels. Like if you do any sort of research about soy, they're like, stay away from it. It's the worst thing ever. This is what I've discovered about soy. They specifically, they generalize soy as like, it's all one thing. It's not. So there's tofu, which is just soybeans and water. But then there's protein powders that have soy isolate protein. There's Vegemeats that have soy isolate protein. So stay away from those soy isolate proteins. Because that's what's going to cause estrogen problems and lead to further issues, cellular issues. So if you want to eat tofu every day in minimal amounts, sure. Can you overdo anything? Yes, you can, except maybe blueberries. But Mama, give me 5 minutes, okay? So there's no isolate in tofu. So yeah, as long as it's in, and this is Gracie. Right?
Hi, Gracie.
Good morning.
So yeah, that's a great question. It's really how you feel. But if you overdo anything, it can't be good.
That's what
So.
so.
And that's it. Yes. Does somebody else have a question? We're good. So I knew this was going to take a little bit longer. I know that you guys wanted to do a few balance training, continuous and balance exercises, which we can easily incorporate into next month's video. So, because nutrition is such a big topic, but this will give you a good foundation from which to work, hopefully.
Actually, this has been great. My goodness, how enlightening. Boy, it's
Awesome.
excited about looking at labels now.
Throwing
Right? Go through your cupboard.
Really informative, Ashley, really informative.
Yes.
Great.